Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Anywhere with Kristen, and in this particular episode with Scott, my husband of 28 years. It has been all roses, people. I'm telling you, we never had a fight. It's been beautiful the whole time. Today, we're going to be talking about how in the world we survived 6 entire months separate from each other while I was in Kokomo, Sicily, pursuing my dual citizenship through Juris Sanguini or by blood. Somehow you survived, Scott.
We're still here.
What's your secret?
It's what's our secret is probably the better question.
Well, I don't know. My life took a very exotic measure in comparison to yours, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, you seem to have more excitement happening. I don't know if it was excitement, it was just a change in your routine.
Yeah, that's true.
Even you living there's stuff that became very normal for you. And what I would view as being very exotic, you became very routine after a while.
My husband, being the planner that he is, has created a list of questions based on some real life people, also some of our YouTube comments about how in the world we made 6 months work.
You know, the longest we were apart was how long before this? A month and a half during the adoption of our daughter, maybe?
Yeah, probably. But I will say that we were seeing each other quite a bit throughout the 6 months.
But daily, we talked to each other a good half an hour to an hour a day, all but a handful of times. We came over, we visited you, you came over one time. So it wasn't like 6 months, no contact.
Yeah, it really was like every 2 months, we were like physically in each other's presence. But on a regular daily basis, we were checking in with each other. And I think that that really does make the difference in how a relationship can continue and even thrive in a situation as unique as this.
When I was sharing what we were doing with a lady that I worked with who was in her 70s, her family was military. When she got married, her husband was away for 2 years. And so for her, she totally got it.
Give us an example of someone in our life who had very deep concerns about how this was going to work in the early stages of us planning and preparing for me to go over to Sicily.
I think in general, our parents were a little bit concerned that we were leaving each other for that length of time. I remember the day, the middle of September, Kiefer and I took you to the train station here in Lancaster. You got on the Amtrak train and we said goodbye. What was the hardest part for you of that experience of saying goodbye?
Probably saying goodbye to Kiefer.
See, I don't rate. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not that. It's not that. Let me explain. So our son is 17 years old, and he is in his senior year of high school. So I left in mid-September, just as the school year was kind of getting underway. I think that one of my concerns was he's not really great on the phone, and he does not like to text. He's busy in his own world. And I kind of knew that you and I were gonna be communicating because I think that that's our normal, natural rhythm anyway. But with Kiefer, I was a little more concerned that was I going to lose that intimacy in that mother-son relationship that we have by naturally living in the same house together?
When you live with someone for 28 years and you spend most of your evenings together, there is a routine that you get into, right? And it's the simple things. It's the stupid things like me telling you stupid jokes and having you laugh at them.
They are really stupid.
And being able to make you laugh, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I can do that on the phone, but being in the presence. How about for you?
I would say the same thing, actually. I would say, like, just like being in each other's presence. One of the things that we really tried to make work is dedicating specific time frame to do WhatsApp. I would be able to call or text him through the app just to like chat like in daily life. You kind of miss that daily life rhythm when you're not physically in somebody's presence. Dinner time conversation. I really covet our dinner time as almost like a sacred space. I, for one, like to make a really nice dinner, light a candle on the table and make it nice. I don't do paper plates. I'm a little bit bougie that way, but really it comes from a place of we get 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. How much time are we actually spending with our immediate family? And if that's only 45 minutes or an hour a day, I want to make sure that that time feels special on a regular basis. Ooh, yeah, pick me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the dual citizenship journey was extremely convoluted. Over the course of time that I was in Sicily, there was a huge change in the court's decision in Rome.
It was beginning of October. You had just submitted your paperwork into Kokomo, and there was this minor issue that really had the possibility of impacting your ability to get dual citizenship. We were literally for 3 to 4 months wondering whether this was even going to happen.
And basically what the minor issue is, it is a new law that came down from the courts in Rome that said that if your original ancestor naturalized prior to the next of kin being an adult, that means that the person who's trying to get dual citizenship now has the minor issue. My grandfather was a minor under the age of 21 when my great-grandfather naturalized. Essentially, that means that my line is cut. However, because I had applied through the actual comune in Sicily prior to the law becoming active, that allowed me to be in this gray zone. Fortunately for me, I was able to get the dual citizenship because I applied prior to the court making this decree.
And now with the new law, right?
Get this.
The new law coming down in March.
So like literally, I got the dual citizenship, got the passport, came home, and literally within a week or two, we found out that another decree came down from Rome saying that now the farthest back that you can go to claim your dual citizenship through juris sanguini is your grandparent. I went through my great-grandparent, as most Italian Americans do, because the Great Immigration happened during our great-grandparents' age and timeline. That means that I really wouldn't have gotten it. So honestly, like I literally slid right under the wire with both of those decrees. And I am so grateful I did not waste another second to get my dual citizenship.
We're happy it worked out for us that way. There were a lot of people, a lot of you watching where this did not end well for you. We realized that there were a lot of you that just cut off your chances to get citizenship in this way.
Yeah.
And so we do acknowledge that.
There was a very important reason to do it this year, and that is our son is a minor. He's 17 years old, and because I got my dual citizenship, guess who gets it too? My son. Yeah. The only one who doesn't have dual citizenship is this German Mennonite I married. With plans that we have moving forward, he kind of gets to ride on my coattails.
I think another challenge that that we faced were some of the early tech challenges, and me feeling kind of helpless to help you with that. Getting your phone lined up, getting your television to work, figuring out internet, some of the stuff I would troubleshoot, and you were kind of on your own.
Yeah, I'm not super tech savvy and I hate it all. If anybody can relate to that, put it in the comments section. I want to hear all my people who hate technology. But thank God for technology, because we're able to do this and we were able to communicate for 6 months of being apart. But I had to really rely on myself a little bit more with the tech and become a little bit more self-reliant. That was oftentimes very frustrating for me because I like things to like work right away and they don't. I never did get my TV hooked up in Italy.
It's true.
Yeah.
True.
So that kind of was annoying. But c'est la vie, I survived, and Netflix works on a phone, so yay for that.
Parenting thing is certainly a challenge. It is. Like, I've often been responsible for the academic portion of raising our son. My son and I connect on the geeky side of things a little bit more than you do.
But geeky,
when it comes to like health stuff, that's much more your domain. And I think it was challenging. It was challenging, especially when he became sick. And I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. But I think that you faced a different challenge in parenting our son than maybe I did.
Yeah, because he doesn't communicate well.
He's a 17-year-old who does not talk on the phone because all they do is text, Discord, Snapchat, Insta, whatever.
I was shocked, you guys. You know, I never really thought about it, but when he said talking on the phone makes him uncomfortable, and I thought it was just an excuse, and then he explained that he's never done it before, that was jarring. Like, really jarring to hear him say that, because I never thought about as a Gen Z person that this would be the case. He is right. I mean, it's just not a natural way of communicating. And that was the biggest disruption in the rhythm of parenting for me. I never really felt alone that I can think of. When I did feel alone, it felt comfortable.
I'm a problem solver at heart. And so I didn't necessarily feel alone. I felt like there were people I could reach out to. I certainly missed you, from that end, but it wasn't like I felt lonely. Because I think we talk so much. We talk an hour a day, at least on WhatsApp, all for except maybe 5 or 10 times throughout the 158-day experience, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that I didn't necessarily feel real alone from that.
I think that we're not very codependent in a negative way in our marriage. I'm not super needy. He's not super needy. And I think that played out in a different way in this experience.
Yeah, I would say prior to this experience, we were very comfortable with like you going out by yourself with your girlfriends and doing stuff on your own.
Yeah.
You traveled to Haiti a gazillion times by yourself or with other people. We've had our experiences apart. While we love doing stuff together, we're also very okay with doing stuff apart. So maybe that played into it a little bit.
Dare I say, I felt a freedom in that. It was very nice to be able to go to the grocery store, cook my own food, and not think about everybody's dietary preferences. If I felt like going out with girlfriends and we wanted to do something, it was acceptable to do that. And so I think that for me, there's a comfortable rhythm that we have that's all our own.
I think that's something you discovered about yourself, about how independent you liked being.
Almost shocking, because, 28 years of sucking air together.
Yeah,
you kind of forget that,
you do life together, right?
Yeah, it's like you are a singular person also.
It was nice to come home, and while I knew we were going to talk on the phone an hour, the rest of your evening you kind of had to yourself. And I didn't need to think about your preferences.
Right?
Or try new foods.
My man is very consistent, guys.
I'm a man of routine. Same breakfast every morning, same lunch every day. There is a balance in that, right? There is a grounding in that. Managing the house.
Agreed. Guys, let me tell you.
That's not just my opinion, by the way.
It's not just his opinion. His geeky, nerdy friends who all come over and they all sit here at my table and play super intricate, nerdy games till like 1 o'clock in the morning. They even told me that the house was spotless. Well, they didn't use the word spotless or sparkling clean, but they did say the house was in very, very good shape while I was gone. I was really proud of you because honestly, you've never really had to take care of the house like I take care of the house.
I was watching. Even your parents were impressed.
My parents were like, Scott really kept up the house really nice. And, I was like, wow. So yes, I totally agree with that. Yeah. You handled housekeeping quite well. He even shampooed the rugs because we have pets.
Yeah, it was true. That's true.
I had a mantra called, I forgive myself. Not because I did something necessarily wrong, but if I couldn't do something the way I wanted to, or control the technology, or had a problem with something that was out of my control, and I wanted to take the control, I would often say to myself, I forgive myself, even if I didn't really need forgiving. And that was very cathartic for me. Yes. Yes, it did. Because I think that sometimes we look at marriage as dependency on each other. There's just something about how people relate and react. And when we're singular from each other, that brings about uneasiness. And I think that I had to redefine that in my own head.
And that's so true. I think that we are choosing to do life together, right? We've chosen to walk our lives as partners, as lovers, as friends, right? But that doesn't mean that somehow I have lost my identity to you. And I think this is important. Like, we each have our own individual identities as well as our identity together. We lived that way prior to us walking through this experience, or I think it would have been a much harder.
Yes, I agree with that. Okay, so I will speak to you. Scott is retiring this year from 27 years of teaching. I would really ask him questions about this transition in his life, how he feels, when is he going to announce it to the school, how are his closest colleagues feeling about it, how is he feeling, what is it like to teach that class that you've taught 27 years for the final time, and trying to pull out of him in a video call, how is he processing that information? And that, I feel like, was kind of like, it was difficult to do, but I think as we're nearing the end of the school year, you're more verbal about this stuff.
Right, and what was interesting is Kristen would have said that I wasn't communicating very clearly about that. But I think in part I was processing that. I did feel very supported in my dreams. How about you? How did you feel I supported you?
Billion percent. That's the easiest question.
Yeah, because your dream is you're in Italy, and
I'm in Italy. I'm in my ancestral hometown. I'm getting my dual citizenship, which will give us more opportunities and more options and things that we want to do as young retirees, and 1,000,000,000% and more.
Yeah.
Yep. Even when people did not understand, people close to us did not understand, I felt very supported by you in trying to communicate with them what we're doing and why we're doing it. There's very little I would change.
Well, if I'm retired, you take me along, hopefully.
I will take you along. I think that's the whole caveat of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I would have maybe started the process sooner. Honestly, I don't think there's a lot I would change. No, I wouldn't change anything.
There you go.
I really wouldn't.
There you go.
I really wouldn't. I'd do it all over again because the outcome was such a beautiful thing. It's easy to look on the flip side and say, well, yeah, I'd do it all over again. Would I do it all over again if the outcome had been different? If I hadn't gotten the dual citizenship?
That would have been a bit better question.
I think I would still do it.
It was more than the dual citizenship. As I edited the videos, one of the things that I realized is that it connected you in a visceral way to your community. I've never seen you come alive and get connected in a way that I saw you get connected there. And that was beautiful to me. Oh. That's your husband.
I have been living in your culture, and that plays a part in that. Since we've gotten married, we have lived among, attended church among, have lived within a cultural community that is German Mennonite. I have always been kind of the guest within it. In this scenario of going to Sicily, I was an actual part of that culture, and that was so unique and different for me. We do something here called play the Mennonite game. I'm going to make it real easy. If I meet you for the first time and I say, my name is Kristen Herzog, and you say, your name is such and such, I might say to you, oh, are you related to so-and-so and so-and-so? Because they're my great niece or my cousin. Everybody's connected. I have never been able to play the Mennonite game because my name is Italian. When I was in Cacamo, I was actually able to play that game, but actually it was really just the game of figuring out who you're related to, which is probably universal. You really have to go into it with your eyes open and making sure you're aware of the emotional investment, the cost investment, how it affects family members like parents or siblings. Make sure that it's a realistic plan for you. We realize that what we've tried to do and fortunately succeeded at has been kind of unorthodox. For us, it worked. So my advice would be proceed with caution, talk through every avenue of this, make sure that you actually qualify, take each day piece by piece. You can't eat an elephant all in one day. And that's how this felt. This was tiny bites every single day.
I would say the other thing that was crucial is make sure you have a plan for communication. If we'd have been communicating like once a week or once a month, like it would have been a whole different game for us. It goes without saying, but a marriage is built on communication and trust. That was one of the things that we really had to make sure that we were working at.
Yeah. You got to keep it spicy in the bedroom, regardless of distance. You have to make sure that you're really talking about deep things and investing the time, making sure that the time you're spending is quality time. That was actually kind of hard for us from time to time because we have a 6-hour time difference. I'm ready for bed. It's midnight. He's 6 o'clock in the evening. He's ready to eat dinner. So like making sure that like even when it's inconvenient, the time is put in and the motivation is there. So there you have it, everyone. We are so glad that you joined us. And what is on the docket for next week, Scott?
We have an announcement.
Big announcement.
A big announcement as far as where this journey will be taking us next.
We are going to share with you the master plan. You've been getting little snippets of the plan, but we are ready to share with you finally what we're going to do next and why this process has been so critical for the next step in our journey. Hey, thanks for watching. Signing off, Kristen, Scott, and Pepper Herzog. Look how cute. Oh, she's excited you're watching too.